name is Antoinette Ball. I'm one of the founders of the Women's Entrepreneurial Opportunity Project Incorporated. And we're happy to have these series of workshops and sessions that we bring women together to talk about enticing information. And I thought this was a great time for us to showcase Renzi because she's an author. She's also one of our co-instructors for our primetime business contract class. And I'm always, we're in the spirit of supporting women in business and supporting each other. So when I hear about women publishing books or doing these amazing business things, it's like, okay, let's talk about it. So Renzi has a great presentation this evening. She's going to talk about a book. We are even going to give some of her books away. Yay!
Yes, thank you.
This evening as well to some of the people on the call. So let's get started. And Renzi, I'm going to introduce you. Renzi Richardson is the president and CEO of the BHFL Group. She is an author and she trains and coaches women, veterans, and minority-owned businesses on how to grow and scale their businesses in the federal and commercial markets. And I said again, she's also one of our instructors for a primetime course. Her company is a certified company, MBE, SBA, and a WSB. She also provides minority business certification services. Since 2008, she has been advising, helping small businesses access commercial, state, and federal contract opportunities set aside for women and minority-owned companies. She also assists with post-award contract management services. Also, in addition to her expertise in the local, state, and federal markets, she has over 22 years of experience in human resources management and specialized in state, federal, and OFCCP compliance. So Renzi, on behalf of WEOP, I want to welcome you to our session this evening. And please, anything that I didn't cover, share with the audience as we get started on your journey, your entrepreneurial journey. So I'm going to turn it over to you because we have a very short window of time. And I know you have a lot of great information. So tell us something that I didn't cover, because you know how sometimes you read bios and they don't give you the full perspective of the dynamic speaker that you have. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Anne. And you asked a really great question. I think we all arrive at being an entrepreneur or business owner. There's something that has, compelled us to do that. And when I was in corporate, trying to fit into that box, got tired of being marginalized, got tired of, trying to be something that I wasn't, but just wanting to shine. I just wanted to know what I could or what I couldn't do. And sometimes when you're in a corporate job, you have to walk that line. And so I just got to the point to where I was so compelled that I wanted to do more. I wanted to see what I could do and what I couldn't do. And so that was, that took me into entrepreneurship. And I'm glad that I did that. And the reason this logo, Mind Your Business Now, this logo is part of my journey. If you think about a phoenix is one that rises from the ashes and you learn to fly, or you learn how to spread your wings. And so this phoenix of that emblem, it really represent, I feel like some of the things that I've gone through on my journey, but you're still on that journey. And I think with us understanding how we fly, it starts with understanding what our strengths are. And that's part of the reason why I wrote the book. And I'll get into that a little bit later on. But thanks for asking that question. I appreciate that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into our presentation. And this is interactive. I'm hoping that this time that I spend with you will be thought-provoking, but it'll also give you an opportunity to ask me questions that you may want to ask if you see or hear information that you want to know more about, or how to apply it to your business or to your strategy.
Renzi, I want to emphasize to everybody that our presentations are extremely conversational and interactive. So you guys, if you want to jump in and make a comment, please do so, because breaking up the presentation and engaging in insightful conversation, and also for us to get an opportunity about who you are and how you're thinking, because as Renzi is going to go into, it's really about mindset as well. And as entrepreneurs, hearing from other entrepreneurs, sharing that mindset, us pushing each other to that highest level and accountability that we can. So go ahead, Renzi, the author, trainer,
Okay.
coach.
Yeah, as we talked about, I'm an author, a trainer, and a coach, so I'm not going to go back through that. But what I want our discussion to focus on today, this evening, is there are three questions I feel like we should ask ourselves. I'll also share three tactical ways that we can drive our revenue, and then we'll talk about 6 ways in terms of how we can boss up. And boss up for me. And you'll see it again in the presentation, but BOSS stands for Built on Spiritual Strength. I think about over the last couple of years when I decided to write this book and listening to a lot of the stories and talking to a lot of the clients that I've served, but just talking to small businesses in general, there's a lot that we've had to do to pivot our business. There's a lot that we've had to do to be resilient. But in spite of that, there's more in terms of how we, things that we need to do in order for us to stay afloat, to keep our business alive, but not only alive, but where we're thriving. So we'll talk about some of that as we go through the presentation. So when I talk about revenue blues, here are 3 questions I want you to think about, okay? What is the best way to rethink your strategy to meet sharp shifts in customer behavior? And we'll dig a little bit more into that. If you think about the economy now and what has happened over the last couple of years, there's been some huge shifts in terms of what consumers are doing. So we're going to talk about that. What, if anything, does my organization need to do to change in order for me to accommodate societal expectations? If you think about what has been in the news over the last couple of years, and sometimes it's, even if you're a small business, what are some things that you might need to do to accommodate societal expectations? I think one of the business expectations right now is that a lot of large companies are wanting to do business with minority-owned businesses, with women and minority-owned businesses. So if that's one of the expectations, what are you doing to accommodate that expectation? Are you making any changes with your business, how you do business in order to accommodate that? So that's one of the things you can think about in terms of how that can impact your revenue and business opportunities. Also, how can innovation help you to address rapid changes, when it comes to customer demands? Have you noticed that there's been a shift with your customers? Now we're not able to serve a lot of our customers, like we said, brick and mortar. Have we had to diversify how we service our customers and meet their demands?
Renzi, I have a thought because I know that, how we hear the word innovation so much. There's innovation accelerations, there's innovation this, innovation that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like a word that we just kind of throw around. And when I think about innovation, could you share with us just one example of how innovation can apply to your business, basically?
Okay, well, and here again, it doesn't have to be rocket science. I think all of us, most of us have had to use virtual tools in order to run our business or to continue to have access to our customers. I think all of us who are in this session this evening probably are using some type of virtual platform in terms of how we're having to interface with our clients. I'll give you another example of innovation. One of the ladies that she had a stationery. She had a store business that was stationary. Well, she could no longer sell stationery because, that was not a need that a lot of her clients had. So she said, okay, if I don't figure out what I can do instead of sell stationery, she said, I'm going out of business. So one of the things that she decided to do is she changed her business to say, using some of the same concepts that she used for stationery, she used those same concepts to help companies to customize like the mass product, the mask. She's good at calligraphy. So she used calligraphy to help companies to, I guess you say, looking at a lot of the PPE equipment and stuff like that. She used calligraphy to personalize that. But what that had done, not only did it help her to stay in business, but in addition to that, she had gotten an order. They said, well, if you know calligraphy, are you able to do, I guess it's like digitized printing? Because now a lot of these companies that are making bulk masks and stuff like that, they're wanting some way to track the number of bundles. I think she said they call them bundles, and who those bundles went to, because now she was able to put a digital label on those products. So if you scan them, you can find out where those products went to. And so that helped her client build a database. And it just started off with her, using calligraphy to personalize the mask. But because she was able to do that, she picked up a customer who said, we want to have a digitized label that we can track when we're sending these orders out. So that kept her, and she still is in business, not doing stationery, but she had to think about innovative ways in terms of how she could use her talent to be creative.
Renzi, you said something, you had transitioned from the slide, but I wanted to, when you started your presentation, you said something about boss moves. So I wanted to just make an announcement that we are going to be giving away your book at this presentation. So one of the things that we may want to do is ask everybody as you go through this presentation to think about one boss move and share that boss move in the chat box. And then we'll give away books from the people that really share a really true boss move. So go ahead, Renzi.
Yeah, and let me tell you what my definition of BOSS stands for. Okay. The acronym BOSS, it stands for Built on Spiritual Strength. And so when you think about your talents, if you think about your strengths, what is one strength that you have used that has helped you to stay in business, that has kept you in business? And if you will put that in the chat, that will be great.
Okay, we got one in the chat. Okay, Hermes.
Okay.
Okay, but she's sharing Hermes. Thank you for sharing your business information. And think about your boss move, okay?
Yeah. God, let's take a minute. Think about your boss move. Okay. Okay, great, Teresa. Okay, so organization is one of your strengths. How have you used that to help you stay in business? Can you unmic and tell us?
Yes, can you hear me all well?
Yes, hi Teresa.
Hi everyone. So I keep myself very organized, like I create a folder. I make sure everything was on my OneDrive or Google Drive. And name differently, you make sure I have all the information for my project.
Okay, great. Okay, good. And it's good that you said, one of your strengths is, being organized, because a lot of times in our business, when we think about it, in particular when, there's shifts in the market, that sometimes what that can cause us to feel, we feel stressed. And a lot of times if we feel stressed, we can get away from our usual routines in terms of how we do business, those daily routines or those things that we do on a regular basis to manage our business, to organize our business, to keep things flowing. And so when you say organize, what comes up for me is that, how do you, in spite of that anxiety or the stress that you're feeling, how do you, you leverage your strength in terms of keeping things organized or staying in your routines to help you to stay afloat and to be able to manage and to service your customers. So that's great.
So I want to ask, applying the strategy for innovation, and when you say keep organized, the first thing that comes to my mind is that maybe because technology plays a major role right now in applying the innovation. So identifying a way we can stay organized with the integration of technology. So that to me could be a way, a boss move in many ways, that we integrate innovation, technology, and it helps us maximize our efficiency so we can really take our business to the next level, doing things we never thought about doing. So I want to ask Teresa, what technology has she integrated into her business to keep her organized?
There are so many tools I've been using.
Share one of your boss move tools that you can share with us.
I would say Microsoft 365 is really the best tool.
That's perfect.
The OneDrive, and everything was on, saved on online, and you can create a form, you can create a booking system, and they will connect it to your calendar.
Okay, those are some great ones.
I
And
love that because I'm just learning Microsoft 365.
yeah, and also with Microsoft, I think it's called Cortana. I
Mhm.
love that because at the top of the day, I'll get a message from Cortana to let me know where I left off. Like if there are action items that I did not cover or finish that day, at the top of the next day, I'll get a message from Cortana. Also, one of the other features I like about Outlook is that it will read your emails to you. so, so that's another tool that I like when you talk about the Microsoft Office suite. But all before, I think if I was able to continue to operate in my office like I used to, I probably wouldn't rely on those tools because I see the people that I want to interact with. Now, I don't see those people. So I need some other way to remind me that I have, meetings or I've got a deliverable that I need to get out to a customer.
Right, and one of their apps is called Microsoft Teams. It's getting better and better. Like it's kind of all in one. You can read your Outlook there. You can do the calendar invite, and you can do the message back and forth, and you can call people, when they are online like that. And you can clock in, clock out. So that's another thing that I like.
Okay, great.
That's so, Rizzy, I'm gonna briefly give you all the boss moves for the winning of the books, and then you can kind of integrate that as you go along in your presentation.
Okay.
Somebody said that. Let me go down, and so I have be organized, pivoting, having exposure in different arenas, teaming, mentoring young writers and photographers, and hired them. I learned to utilize Hootsuite management software for social media management, virtual networking by hosting events, innovation, embracing technology to automate business and maximize efficiency, also customer relationship management software. So those are some of the they're all great in terms of the integration innovation.
And everything that I heard that everybody talked about, in terms of their boss moves, you can connect those to, your revenue, whatever those, when you think about your revenue goals, your revenue doesn't always mean that I guess you say there are tactical things that we do, but a lot of times it's our mindset also. It's things that we can do in terms of how we organize our time to be more efficient. But other things could be in terms of how we also think about our mindset in helping other people too, as well as how it benefits us as well. So when you think about revenue, there's a couple of components that fall into understanding how to grow your revenue, not just in tactical things that we're doing, but also through qualitative things that we do too. Let me go back one.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yes, also for me, because during this time, getting capital wasn't always so easy. I found that teaming with other people who are in the field allowed us to share resources and also, create events that would give us more exposure. So that's why I put like hosting events that were sometimes, free. However, it led to us having, sharing our network because several people joined in, and then that was more exposure and it allowed us to, get more ideas. So just this idea of teaming with people who don't specifically, it doesn't always have to be that they're in your field per se, but that you have something in common just to help grow your network.
Exactly. And one of the things that you're talking about, a lot of activities that we do, it may be passive, but as an example, when you do those type of events, I call them lead magnets, meaning that when people attend those events, you're providing them with information that may be helpful, but also it's an opportunity for them to follow up with you. And you can take those leads and think about those leads that come in. How do you follow up with those leads? And then how do you make a proposal to those leads and convert them to a sale. So a lot of the events that you're doing, like webinars, free webinars is a great way how people build their network or to build their prospective leads, to say that these are people who are interested in a product or service that they offer. And then the follow-up is how you qualify them as a lead, as a valuable lead. Okay. So when we talk about some of the changes that has occurred, a couple of things that I guess you say right now that are occurring with consumers. You know, we have some people we are worried about, you know, whether we should spend now or whether we shouldn't. We have some people who are stockpiling, you know, their resources because they're thinking about, you know, what happens later on in the year if I don't have the resources or money or clients. And then you have some people who are trying to make $1 out of a dime, okay? So those are the three kind of behaviors that we're kind of dealing with right now when you think about consumers. And those consumers can be small businesses, those consumers can be retail sales, direct sales, but these are the three behaviors that, you know, we are all dealing with. And I want to break it down a little bit more so you can see how they break out. If you look at, sorry about that, let me move this out of the way. So when we think about consumer spending, about 29% of consumers say stay calm, carry on as things are now. You know, they're moving along like there's no change in the market. Then you have about 39.8%, they're stockpiling their resources, okay? They're stockpiling for a rainy day. And then you've got another core group, 30.7%, who are making deep cuts. They're cutting back in terms of their spending. That's what I call trying to get $1 out of a dime. So these are the three behaviors that we're dealing with. But if you take a look at the consumers who are stockpiling and the consumers who are making deep cuts, that's about 60% of consumers who are, I guess you say, very conservative right now in terms of their spending. And then you've got about 30% of the market right now who's saying, let's carry on as is. So if you look at the consumers that are in stockpiling and deep cut, making deep spending cuts, does that make you think about your sales, how you do sales right now? How do you meet your consumer demands? Does it help you or make you think about, do I need to change my approach in how I'm selling to my consumers? Okay. So, but those are some of the things that we have to think about right now in the market because they are having an impact on, you know, our sales, the turnover of sales and how quickly people are buying and if they're buying. So there's a couple of ways that we can combat this. Okay. So when we think about that, we look at where we are now, you know, what are some of the things that we can do, you know, to get to that next level, to get us through and how we prepare to move into the next year. So what are some things that we are dealing with now? What can we do to prepare to move to that next transition phase to help us to get beyond where we are right now, okay? So one of the things I think is so important is that I met so many people who decided that, you know what, I'm going to throw in the towel because it's too hard. But if you think about, you know, why you went into business, what your passion in terms of what you want to get out of your business and how you want to serve others, you know, this is a time where we learn whether we have the wherewithal to stick and stay, or, you know, are there other ways in terms of how we can insulate ourselves with resources? When we talked about a community earlier, you know, this is a time where, you know, if you're looking at the way that you do work or how you work with yourself or your team, is this an opportunity for you to say, you know what, maybe I might be more effective by working in a community or with a team of other individuals or other women versus trying to do it by myself. Okay, so this is one of the things that has made an impact on terms of how we work. I think her niece has said that what she, along with a couple of other people, how they work together to leverage each other. Okay, so if that helps you to look at where your situation is right now in your business and how you can change that by teaming up and working with other people to help you to move out of this place where, if your revenue is flat, or if you see that you've lost customers, or if you see that you're not able to provide the same kind of services that you used to providing, what are some other ways in terms of how you can move out of this zone to get you beyond where you are through teaming, through working with others? Any questions or comments?
I do have a comment, Renzi. And I wanted to comment because when you think about like moving to another level, I find that thinking about other things that we can do with our business, for example, infopreneuring is a great area that entrepreneurs can grow their businesses. And also at the same time, thinking about how you can set yourself up like a subject matter expert. Because if you are a subject matter expert, and that means writing articles, sharing information, doing publications, then people are always going to find you. So that might be another kind of tactical strategy that entrepreneurs on the call can consider, because as business owners, there's always some kind of level of expertise that we have. So how can we share that? You know how people call you, that they always want to pique your brain or mind.
Yes.
You take that and you put it in an article. And that way your name is floating across the internet. So when they put in your name, your articles come up, your books come up, your podcasts come up, because again, business is about us finding customers, but at the same time, if you're doing things where people are stumbling across you, then that is another kind of tactical strategy that you can kind of make yourself known. And if you look, infopreneuring, that's why YouTubers are so famous, because they're always sharing some type of information. And
exactly.
Yeah, and we're thinking that they're not making money from, but they are, because the more information you share free, the more people seek you out, the more it increases your subscribers, and then how do you make money from your ads? So just as a strategy, just thinking about that all the time.
And one of the things, and to add on to what you said, one of the things that people are doing, take for instance, you have a slate of services that you're selling, and one of your services may not be selling so well. So they call it fractional sales. So looking at what you sell and maybe breaking it out into parts. I'll give you an example. I think her niece does curriculum development. She is a trainer, but if companies may not be buying training, some of the training services that she offers, perhaps one of the things that she can fragment or fraction out is to do more curriculum development. So if we look at some of the services that we offer and what our expertise are, we may not be able to sell that expertise the way that we know it to be, but we can think about how do we fraction out what we sell and to be able to market it in small bite-sized pieces versus saying that we have to sell the entire pie. So as an example, if you are a curriculum developer and people are looking for ways in terms of how to get their content, how to organize their content, how to display their content, perhaps you can do a lot of work around or start looking at fractional promotion to say, if you want to sell your content or if you want to develop your own training curriculum, here are 5 ways or 5 tips to help you to develop your own curriculum. So that way you're taking something that you do and you fraction that out of the whole training umbrella to show people, to sell just that portion to a target audience, okay? Because right now, because we're all isolated, people are trying to figure out how do they sell their products and services online, okay? Or how do they teach or educate people online? So that would be a way in terms of how you can fraction your products or your services and sell it in smaller, as a smaller bundle versus selling the whole bundle. So when we talk about tactical ways, a couple of things that I want to share with you is that think about your customers. Are there ways in terms of how you can volumize selling to your customers? As an example, if you're selling, I'll use this as an example. You sell cakes, and a cake is $20 per cake. So is it a way that you can volumize selling, your product through, like 2 for 1, or is it more advantageous for a customer to buy 2 cakes versus 1? So when we talk about volumizing your selling strategies, is looking for ways to say, if you had to discount your product or had to sell it for less, can you volumize that and to say that the price is less, but you sell it more? Does that make sense? The price is less, but you're selling more. So as an example of the cake, if you buy one, you buy one for $35, but if you buy 2, you can get 2 for $25. So if you look at your profit margin, did you still make a profit by selling more for less? Okay, so that's one of the ways that you can look at volumizing your selling strategy. Also, to make sure that you're making a profit, you also want to make sure that you're tracking the data and create a win-win, not only just for your customer, but also for yourself, but also for your customer. So when we look at how we sell to our customers, yes, everybody's looking for a deal, everybody's looking for a bargain, but also it can also be profitable for you as well when we say volumize your selling strategies. Also, know why your customers are buying from you. I think a lot of us know that we sell to our customers, but do we know why our customers buy from us? And even if your customers say, well, I buy from you because I like you, I will still want to find out more information. Well, what is it that you like about me? Okay, because if you know why your customers are buying from you, you can use that to attract new customers. And that's the most important thing that we can do in terms of growing our revenue, is looking at how we can bring on new customers, how we can attract new customers and sell to new customers, because that's the quickest way to bring revenue to the bottom line, and it's the quickest way to have an impact on your profit margin. Okay, and lastly, share your why. A lot right now, because of all of the things, if you look at some of the things that we're dealing with in this economy, people like to hear your story and connect with your story to say why you do what you do. What is your passion and why do you want to do, or why are you doing what you do? As an example, if people ask me, will say, well, Renzo, why, is entrepreneurship or serving small businesses, why is that important to you? Well, it's important to me because I know that small businesses may create more jobs than a lot of the larger businesses. So if I can support small businesses to create livable jobs, which means that livable wage is part of a community that helps sustain that community, then not only am I making an impact in terms of serving that small business, but it's a domino effect also. That small business is creating jobs that becomes part of that economic development or that ecosystem to sustain that community. So that's why I enjoy working with small businesses and just giving back to our communities. This is a way that I give back to our communities. So I want to open it up to find out, to tell me why, and for the business that you're in, what is your passion and why do you do it? Who would like to share?
Good evening.
Hi.
Hey, I just got home. Finally, I was driving earlier, so I'm gonna try to get on the camera now.
Okay, great.
Hold on one second. Wait. Okay, can you see me?
There you are.
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Great.
Good. Okay. I almost feel like I'm in kindergarten and everybody else is in like their last year of college, because I just really started launching out, doing my own thing business wise. The pandemic was what actually caused me to take a faith move and a faith step. And so when I said in the chat earlier about having experience in different areas, I am a retired military officer, Army officer, and I've been working actually overseas as well as here, working in ministry and large ministries, doing operations and administration. So I think for me, what I've gleaned from both of those arenas is my passion is developing and building not only things, but people. So what I'm doing now, we have launched out and started some real estate ventures that I'm hoping can eventually grow into us creating getting ahead of what may happen with these moratoriums and creating second chance opportunities for living for those who may not be able to pay their rent or pay their mortgage, and they're going to need a place to stay. So we're trying to put everything in place now to prepare for that. But where I'm challenged, because I'm so green at the whole process, my biggest challenges are making sure that, because it's not just a real estate thing, it's also, I'm wanting to get involved in government contracting as well, because of all those areas that you mentioned, Ms. Richardson, at the very beginning. Those categories, I think I hit every category, from the minority to the woman to the veteran and all that. And so I want to also branch off into that space. But where I am right now is being able to make sure the business is set up properly, in terms of how to set it up, because I have a name and all that stuff. But what I found is a lot of people are doing stuff now because they've had a lot of time to think. And so they're starting businesses, and I don't want to start a business and not have the foundation laid correctly. And so that's why I made the comment that I feel like I'm in kindergarten, because I really am just starting out. There's things that are rolling, but I don't want to get too far ahead in what we're doing, because just like you said, the boss, I love that when you said, built on spiritual strength. And that's exactly what is happening right now, because these are faith moves that we're making. But as we make it, you know, the stuff is coming in like really fast. And so I don't want to forsake having the business set up properly by getting too caught up in doing the business, but not having the business set up properly.
I love the way you think, and where, you know, and understanding the importance of putting steps in place, putting and having a great foundation in place. And I also love your story in terms of wanting to help people who may be impacted by this economy, by being displaced out of their homes, because it's, you know, this has been a financial hardship. Where we are right now, it has created a financial hardship. So I love the fact that that's where your heart is that you want to help those people who may be impacted or displaced from their homes. So I really, really love that. I really love that. Okay, Antoinette, I'm going to call on you. I want you to share with the audience, you know, what is your why? Why do you do all the work that you do to help women?
I do all the work that I do to help women because you know, as a woman, you find yourself walking in so many footsteps. And I meet a lot of women that I see myself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and I see they are experiencing so many things. And I try to, from a nonprofit perspective, provide a journey and a roadmap where maybe some of the mistakes that I've made, or maybe some of the resources that I did not have access to, that I could provide a roadmap and journey for them. So it might make it a little easier, or maybe I could be the one instrumental in providing that resource, providing that connection, because I know how difficult this world can be when you don't have access. And all the workshops that I organize, all the people that I bring in, the ultimate goal is, one, connect you to the resource, one, widen your network so you have access and have conversations and think about things like you never thought about them before. And the last thing is to make sure that you reach some kind of modem of success, however you want to measure that and however you see that within your life. And that's kind of why I'm just driven. Sometimes you never ask yourself why, you're just driven to do specific things because that is your path in life. And every time I do what I want to do, it's like, because on my journey, I was connected to somebody who was very instrumental in providing that guidance and little mentorship and direction. So I have this motto about it, like everybody in the call, we can support each other, we can communicate, because we're all trying to go up.
Exactly.
And if we can grab somebody's hand on the way there, then it just makes our journey a little less stressful.
Absolutely. So
I want to add a comment to Deshawn's comment about her being in kindergarten. Another thing is, when talking about your business, you can even do partnerships with other organizations to help them. There are a lot of people going to be homeless right now, and a lot of organizations that have money for housing or whatever. So have you ever thought about doing a partnership with other organizations and working with other organizations to help you with starting your business?
I have thought about it because my younger brother actually went through a program through the Veterans Administration. Actually they house homeless veterans. And I thought about it then when I was helping him go through that process
Mhm.
of seeing how I could connect with the VA to provide homes that veterans could actually go into. So I have, but not on anything beyond that, like on a larger scale, but that was a starting point.
Right, and I think that's really good because even as a nonprofit, we have to actually, we do partnerships, and you can possibly get a contract to supplement what someone else is doing and have your service, and someone may have a contract of money and they can contract you out to do a portion of the work. So I would definitely recommend you check into working as partnerships,
Mhm.
not having to start up everything from scratch. And so partnerships are really important, and you know, with other businesses, joint ventures, but partnership to me is actually will be a good option for you as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're about 20 till.
Yeah, we're
So-
20 after, so that we're
Yeah.
getting to the tactical ways to grow. So Vince, you can
Yes.
go ahead and then
Okay.
then we'll talk about the free giveaways, and then Hermes has a special offer as well. So
Okay. Okay, so when we talk about tactical ways to grow, first and foremost, it starts with you. You know, it's about your attitude, you know, your mindset. You know, are you results? Do you have a way to track and measure your results? So when you think about, you know, what do you want to accomplish? How do you want to get to that revenue goal? It really does start with you. Okay. Okay. When you start, a lot of times we want to start big, but it's about starting in a mindset to be successful. So taking your big dreams and breaking it down into tangible, manageable action steps. Also, small steps also allow us to get to find clarity. Because if we're trying to accomplish a big goal, it's kind of hard to try to accomplish a big goal if we don't have the everything that we need to have in place, if we don't have those pillars in place to support us. And the other thing I want to say too, you know, being busy is not a goal, okay, in terms of driving your revenue. So make sure that your time, your effort, and your resources, they're focused to accomplish an outcome. Also, I like working with small companies because it's also a way in terms of understanding our role in driving the economy. But likewise, if you are a small company, please keep in mind, and this is something I find so often, is that we overlook, you know, the importance of our employees, because a lot of times we still think of ourselves as an employee, okay? Antoinette mentioned this earlier in terms of, you know, how we support other women and other minority groups to help themselves and to help their growth. If we look at how we build a village, when one eat, we all eat. And the last thing that I will share also is understanding how to be adaptable and agile. Oftentimes, if we've been in business for a long time, you know, we become stuck in our ways in terms of how we're doing things. But if your way is no longer working and you need to change or look at the way that you do business, you know, those are some of the things that you have to think about in order for you to remain relevant. Because if you're not relevant, then you are obsolete, okay? So always keep in mind, you know, whether you're competitive, whether you're agile, and if you're competitive in the market that you're in. Harness your flame. A lot of times I hear so often, you know, we've got 5 businesses, we've got 7 businesses. How do you harness your power? How do you harness your abilities when you're trying to do so many things all at once? And when I say harness your flame, is that, you know, make sure that everything that you're doing, you're focused on a path, you're focused on an outcome, and you're not spreading yourself too thin. Because a lot of times when we try to do so many things at one time, we burn out. You know, instead of building a fire, you know, we end up burning out. So harness your flame and use it to grow your business. Rule your brand. A lot of times, you know, we just want to pop up and think that, you know, all of the stuff that we're doing on social media is that's how we build our brand. Yes, that's a path to how you build your brand. But likewise, in building your brand, you're building your reputation as well. One of the things that I like about Warren Buffett, this quote that he says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation. and only 5 minutes to destroy it. And so they have to think about, how do you present yourself in social media? And then are you presenting conflicting messages as around your branding? Like sometimes I'll see people who say, okay, I do this, I do that, I do 5 things. But if customers are trying to lock in and follow you and connect with you, what are they connecting? You know, you got to think about, are you giving them an opportunity to connect with you if you got all of these multiple things going on? Okay, so you got to think about your brand, and if you have a strategy in terms of how you're building your reputation. This is something my grandmother used to say, girl, don't stunt your growth, okay? Because sometimes we want to get everything now about the society that we live in. It's instantaneous. And so we want to get to that end point. We want to do it like overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. A lot of the things that we learn, the lessons and the setbacks that we learn, you know, those are lessons that help us to get to that next level. You know, it also helps us to build our confidence. It helps us to be more tenacious. And when we do fall down, get back up, okay? But, you know, don't stunt your growth to say, okay, I can start a business and then by next year, you know, everything is perfect. Everything is in place, because I don't know too many people who have been able to start a business and scale that quickly. I don't know of any business that have been able to do that. So whatever you do, part of your strategy, don't stunt your growth. Okay, and celebrate the milestones. A lot of times we put our head down and we're working and we're working and we're working, but we forget to celebrate those milestones. And as much as we preach about have a plan, you need a plan, you need goals, you know, it's great that you have those, but also remember to celebrate those milestones, because for me, I'm grateful when I get to that milestone because I put in a lot of work to get there. But it's just not me celebrating that milestone, but I want to invite others to celebrate that milestone with me also. I make it part of my vision board to say that I've met that milestone, because it reminds me where I started and where I am today and where I want to get tomorrow. Here's one of my customers. When I first met Heidi was here in Atlanta. She always had a dream that she wanted to open an office in San Francisco. So now she is bi-coastal. When I first met her, you know, if she made $30,000 a year, she was satisfied with $30,000 because that kept the lights on. So now Heidi is bi-coastal. She went from being an employee of herself of 1 to now she has 3 employees. She opened an office in San Francisco, and now she's on track to grow her revenue by 37% in 2022. So where she was and where she's going now, she'll be in the triple digits probably by the end of 2022, if not before. Okay, but here it's about setting goals. It's about setting goals, having a path. Because even some of the things that I told her that to put in place, there was a lot of resistance because she didn't see why she needed to have her infrastructure in place to operate her business. But now that she's managing, I think she's managing now about 15 contracts. Now she understands why she needed a platform to be able to manage all of those contracts, to measure the revenue that's coming in on those contracts, to see when those contract dates start closing out. So if she has to scale back on terms of using her her contractors, she'll know what those end dates are, but also to see how she can use her contractors where they have skills that overlap and serve other contracts as opposed to hiring a whole new crew. So teaching her some of those strategies, it has helped her to increase her revenue as opposed to adding more expenses to her overhead. So here's some of my projections for 2020 in the next couple of years. Year 22, what I'm asking everybody, even if you haven't started, if you don't have a plan, get a plan. But going into year 2022, revisit your plan now. Don't wait until January to do it. Do it now. We're in the last quarter of the government fiscal year, starting a new fiscal year, but we're also in the last quarter of the calendar fiscal year. So now is a good time for you to revisit your plan to see what you've accomplished or see where you are in your plan. And you've got the last couple of months here to, if there are goals that you can go ahead and realize, go ahead and do that, okay? By year 2023, get into the habit of looking at what you've done in 2022, putting in place, a way to measure your results. What are the lessons that you've learned? And most importantly, if you go back to your why you're doing what you're doing, keep your eye on the prize. Out of all of this that we're doing and that you're doing in your business, for me, what is important, I know what the end result is. And out of everything that I'm doing, whether I have setbacks, whether I'm advancing, or whether I'm accelerating, at the end of the day, for me, I'm going to keep my eye on the prize because I know exactly what that year. And then by 2024, if you're 100 there, I predict that there's someone on this call who's going to be a millionaire. Okay. So think about your journey. Her niece claimed it. Yes. And think about your journey where you are now and all of the work that you put into it. But if you stay focused, if you harness your fire, if you are able to put those steps in place to help you grow your business, I think there are a couple of people on this call who can be a millionaire by the end of 2024. Okay. So, yes.
No, okay. I was like, yeah, I do my special announcements when you finish sharing your information. No, go back to share your information, Renzi, because we're getting to 7:30. So go ahead and share how everybody can. And of course, this call is recorded. So we are going to post this on YouTube. So go ahead, Renzi.
Okay, well, the last thing, these are my social media platforms where you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And for a copy of my book, you can purchase a copy of the book at renzirichardson.com/shop. This is my contact information if you want to get in contact with me. But thank you so much. And I hope you got a couple of nuggets out of this workshop that you can use to help you to grow your revenue.
I just made an announcement, Renzi. I told everybody on the call they're going to get a free copy of your book.
Absolutely.
And but they have a task, Renzi. They have a task.
Okay. Listen up.
They have to go to Amazon and give you a good review.
Yes.
Because that is about, so we do ask that when Renzi mails your book to you, that you go on Amazon and you please give her a review, because that's what's going to start her traction, and also social media. So all we ask is you give her a good review, then you go on one of her social medias and you hold up your book and you say that you enjoyed her workshop, and hey, just social media plugs. That's all we ask of you guys.
This is an example of how women support each other. So thank you.
We just need to get there. So you want them to send me their addresses so I can mail them?
Yeah. If everybody will either give your information to Antoinette, then I will send the book directly to you, okay, from Amazon.
And Antoinette, I might add, they can give you after they read the book.
Yes, I would love for you to give a review. Absolutely.
People to read the book and give their input about the book. So we met after you read the book.
Yes.
Yes, that's awesome.
I know that.
Sure.
Yes, and
I'm putting my email address in the, and also Hermes had a special announcement.
Yes. So because we spoke a little bit about branding, so one of my services is professional development online courses. And so for everyone who was here today, I'm offering a free gift. It's a personal branding online course. You have a year to take it. And so should I put it, it's specifically for this group for tonight. So do I just put the link in the chat box?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so the only thing I do ask, like, Renzi's book, once you do complete the course, please leave a testimonial and how it helped you, if you really enjoyed the course or not, because this is one of my new courses. And so I'd really like to get that feedback.
Oh, wow.
And please don't share the link with anybody else, because, I wanted it to be just with this group. So
And it
Yes,
may be, Hermes, it may be that we partner, and just like we're doing for Renzi, we get on a call, you promote your social media, we promote ours, you just do like a little intro.
Okay,
Yeah.
no
Hour.
problem.
And
No
that way,
problem.
it's about like, as you put these digital things out, you want to drum up like interest.
Okay.
And sometimes you give things away free to get things in return.
Right.
absolutely,
right.
yes.
And I also put the link to my page where you can see other courses that I'm offering.
Awesome.
Okay,
Wow.
great.
Okay.
Okay, so we are now at 7:32. And I want, on behalf of the Women's Entrepreneurial Opportunity Project Incorporated, I want to thank everybody who came and joined us on this call this evening. And please stay connected to WeOp at our social media, which is weop.org. And I do have everyone's information that's on this call. So I will probably just send something out to everyone's email, providing them with the link in terms of how they can, if they want to look at this video again, how they can access this video, look at it. So again, great, Renzi. We want to all thank you. Applause go up to you. Let me do my my reaction. So I'm gonna clap.
Thank you. Thank you, thank
no,
you, thank you.
I'm gonna do hearts, thumbs up,
This was awesome.
So it was
Yeah.
great. I love these, these environments where you can share and talk and all that kind of stuff. So I know we're coming to the end of the year. A lot of things are happening, but stay connected to WeOp by looking at what we do.
Yes.
We're having a big conference on October 27th. But again, I have everybody's email. I will be sending something out. Everybody's saying thank you, thank you, thank you. You're all welcome. And if you want a book, please, my email's in the chat box. I think it's in this, yeah. I put it in ball.a@weop.org. If you want to send me your address, I would definitely have Renzi send you a book. And again, we just ask that you give us some traction on social media, basically.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we're gonna sign off.
Yes.
Okay, and thank you, Renzi, stay before you go. Okay, thank you, everybody.